my wife and I moved to Claremont after doing from Azusa. Um, we had no children, but we were planning on having children, and we wanted to find a school district that would be the best in the area in which our child could go to school. And we settled on Claremont. And we bought a house on 10th Street. And the fact is that I was still an assistant principal at Cedar Grove in Covina, Charter Oak, at Cedar Grove School. And it was quite a job. And the principal says, "Now, Mr. Bobo, when a child comes into your office, you're to make her stand." And he hit the desk, and I jumped like that. So this man, getting off track here, but I'm just giving you a little background because
it's interesting.
It was such an experience that I had decided that I couldn't paddle any more children. He had his door open and across the hall from me. I'm thinking so-and-so was a little sadistic. I mean, it was just like he enjoyed hearing the kids responding to my yelling and screaming and chastising and literally beating them.
Did you actually have to physically paddle kids?
Oh, yes. Yeah, girls as well as
You?
boys. Yeah, me. Yeah. And that was, boy.
I have a hard time visioning that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think about it because it's like somebody came in, and they said, I think it was Ruth. Ruth Ann, my wife, came one time, and she was sitting in the office, and I was giving the right act to one of the kids, and yelling, and then the child left, and she says, "You're not too good an actor." Says, "You didn't have your heart in that." Says, "It seemed to me that you were putting on a show." And that's what it was. It wasn't my heart. It was just I had to do this in order to move to the next step, which was a principalship. And all of the principals in Charter Oak School District came through this man as their mentor. And so it was natural that in order to move to the next level, I had to be assistant principal.
Maybe you had to see how you didn't want to be a principal.
Exactly, Ken. That's exactly right. That's what happened. I never touched another child. I never paddled another individual. And then I learned my hands were for healing and not hurting.
You've gone through a tremendous metamorphosis, John.
Yes.
This is all great background and history. Sycamore is going to have a copy of what we produce, so I'm sure it'll be interesting to them to hear all this history of the school and even beyond that. But I want to just take a second and think about anything else you want to say now that could be added to the little introductory clip that's going to be on the menu of the DVD.
Hello, my name is John Bobo, and I'm here at Story Lab West in Claremont, Ken McPherson's unique business, and it's for the purpose of recording information about the most important part of my life that is due to an individual who was one of the students at Sycamore, Brian Corey. Brian?
I am Brian Corey, and we are here in Claremont, California. Today is June 7th, 2008, and we are preparing for what should be a pretty great reunion of kids and teachers.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Sycamore influenced my life and how I felt about it. And this is something that I've dreamed of. And how in the world would I get back in touch with those students? I see them from time to time, and they're all Mr. Bobo and I would want to be called John now rather than Mr. Bobo, because there's a different relationship in our adult lives. But I remember so many of almost all the students. I think we had about 250 students.
That's it.
I think that's it. And that was one of the problems with the district, is that we didn't have enough students to keep it open, and along with some other idiosyncrasies that we were guilty of.
Dick Kirkendall, if he was here, probably would have a lot to say, and he'd probably use the term cohort progression. Does that ring a bell with you?
No.
It was all about how many students are in Sycamore, because there was an attempt to close Sycamore, right?
Right.
It sure was.
Board meetings, and
Oh,
it was
yes.
a real parent uprising.
Yes. Well, the students brought it about because a student went to one of the board meetings and questioned Taylor, the president of the school board. And when that student stood up and questioned his decision about what he was going to do, Taylor got irritated. And this, I think, was something of a preview of coming attractions, and taking out some of the frustration on they could justify it cost-wise that we were not meeting the requirements that the rest of the Condit and Chaparral and Mountain View and some of the other schools had. But we also were producing the merit scholars at the high school in such a high proportion to what they were rest of the schools are doing. We weren't doing anything bad. We were doing something that was good. And that's why I knew it was going to cost my job. But I told Dick Kirkendall, the superintendent, I'm going to fight you. We're going to organize, and I'm going to keep Sycamore open if I can.
Was that student that asked the question, one of the Bjork girls, the older one, Katie, I think her name was she the one who asked that question?
I think so.
Because she was, I remember
She was
her going to one of those meetings.
one of the
in
school board
official
meetings.
capacity.
As a representative.
Yes, and her parents had asked me to drive her to that meeting. Interesting, it had that big an impact.
I think that did it. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because Taylor had the idea that children were be seen and not heard. And the fact is that here was a student questioning the president of the school board and challenging him, which was verboten, was totally unacceptable. And I think I remember his hitting the lectern with his gavel, asking her to sit down, and she just stood up and kept talking.
Nice.
And it was like, there's such a rebellious group down there. What is this man got going down there? He doesn't follow any of the rules and regulations of the rest of the district, and yet people keep coming to the school. They want to get in. We had people that were coming from Vietnam.
Yes.
We took the first Vietnamese.
We sure did.
Went down to, you remember the boy?
And
and
first one was it Chi and Lon?
That's it, Chi and Lon.
Yep.
We went down to camp down San Diego. What's not Lejeune? It's camp. What's the Marine camp down there?
Pendleton.
Pendleton. Went to Pendleton. Met the helicopter that brought the Vietnamese family in, and Dick Stoll. Remember Dick Stoll?
Yeah.
He was a teacher at Mountain View. He had agreed to sponsor this family. And he lived on 9th Street. And of course, they'd come to Sycamore. And they did beautifully. Yeah. One of them, Lon, became a doctor I think, and see, their father was a general in the Vietnamese army, and he was very, very brilliant, and I hired him as a teacher's aide because he could interpret what his sons were saying, and he became such a favorite with the kids, and it was, and we took the boys in such a way that they just felt like they were part of it.